Boys, today I looked through the welterweight division because, we do have a new champion at welterweight, and I'm thinking, there's some matchups here that we don't want, we absolutely need. Some of these dudes might be already matched up. I'm calling up Dana. I'm calling up Hunter, and we're rematching these dudes up with the correct matchups because these are the fights we need at welterweight. And I got 9 fights here total, and we're going to start lower into the rankings, make our way up into the champion pretty much. But let's start off. Outside the rankings, we got Randy Brown, Rinat, Fakhretdinov, and I think this is a great fight. Not only are both these guys high level, both these guys are arguably deserving of a ranking in the top 15. However, a good way we can entice these dudes to take the fight, we can do, winner of this. You're not just getting a top 10 spot next. You're getting a top 10 level fighter next so you can get into the rankings. I think this is a great fight to get one of these dudes into that top 10 spot and then only a few fights away from a title shot. I think this would be a great fight. I wouldn't be mad at this as a co-main event of like an Apex fight night. Having this somewhere on the prelims of a pay-per-view, I wouldn't be mad at having it in those spots. Anything higher, in my opinion, is a little bit too much. This is a great welterweight matchup though, and to be honest, I'm hoping my boy Randy Brown does get it done because I'm not the biggest Rinat fan. I'm just not. But let's keep moving down. Bryan Battle, we're trying to get into the rankings. Who can we give Bryan Battle to have a fun matchup? And someone who's already in the rankings. Okay, technically not in the rankings, but I want this fight after his next fight because we're going to have Kevin Holland versus Luke here soon. I think Kevin Holland gets it done. If he gets it done, he's going to be in the rankings. Then we give Kevin Holland someone like a Bryan Battle. And I don't think Kevin Holland, maybe recently he's trying to go on like a title run, but that's not what Kevin Holland usually says. Usually this dude's out here not caring, just out here getting a check, trying to be as active as possible. And, with this fight, we can entice him with, you can come back soon. We can give you this fight. It's a high name guy. And honestly, I think Bryan Battle gets it done here, but I think this would be a fun matchup. Plus, both these dudes like to talk. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some talk, inside the cage, outside the cage. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some beef here somewhere. And again, this one can be in the pay-per-view spot. This one can be in the main card, probably like the opener of a main card. If you want to, this could be the headliner of a Apex fight night card or a fight night card in general. Do I think they would waste their money on Kevin Holland not being on a pay-per-view? Probably not. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Holland gets paid pretty well here, so they're probably going to want him for a pay-per-view. Run this shit next. This would be, again, another fun fight in welterweight. I was looking through welterweight, and it's like, damn, there's a lot of very high-level guys here that could make some very fun fights. Moving down for some fun fights, I got Michael Chiesa. Now, when you think of fun fights, fucking Chiesa is the last thing you think of. However, I think we need him here just because if you watch one of my last videos I made on every fight next, I want Bo Nickal to drop down to middleweight to welterweight. I want to fight Michael Chiesa. Not only is Chiesa just a name value dude, he's pretty high level. He has lots of experience, and I think it's sink or swim time for Bo Nickal. I want to see him down at welterweight. I don't think he has a very high future in middleweight. Plus, if he can get a win here over Michael Chiesa, is Chiesa even ranked? I don't think so. Yeah, if he gets it done over Chiesa, then we can look at bringing him into the top 15, But who knows? At this rate, it's crazy because I at least thought Bo Nickal would have got ranked before he in fraud checked. But if he can't get past Chiesa at welterweight, he might never get ranked in any division. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, now we're starting to get into the rankings now. And I think a great fun matchup. We need to just rebook this one because it was officially announced and then injuries happen, but I want Carlos Prates, Geoff, Neal, two of the hardest hitters in welterweight right now. And yeah, I want this one next. I think it's a great bounce back fight for Carlos Prates, but I don't know, ever since the Ian Garry fight, I don't know if it was fight IQ, if it was, jitters, but why would he be jittered? Like, why would he be scared to fight someone like an Ian Garry? It doesn't make sense to me. And at the end of the day, it's just a great bounce back win for Carlos Prates, getting him back into that like top 10 area, because right now he's just in the top 15. I think he's ranked 13, so get him into that top 10. Then we can look at some more fun matchups for him. But yeah, I think this is a no-brainer. Also a no-brainer one that I'm surprised hasn't been made yet. And I honestly think it hasn't been made just because both these guys don't really want it. But I don't care. I want this shit. MVP, Wonderboy, make this shit now. I want this on a pay-per-view. I want this as a pay-per-view opener. I want this fight. This should have been one of the first fights that MVP had in the UFC. And in my opinion, it just makes no sense why it hasn't been booked. Both these dudes are trying to gaslight us into thinking, yeah, you know, because we have a similar style, it's not going to be a fun fight. I ain't falling for the gaslighting. I want this fight. It's going to be one of the highest level striking matchups we've ever had in the UFC. Both these dudes, some of the best strikers that we have in the UFC period, not just in the welterweight division, but in the UFC as a whole. And we need this one next. I have no idea why it hasn't been made. You know, Dana, Hunter, I know especially Dana, you know, I can see it in your eyes. You don't got that love. You don't got that passion for this shit no more. Hire your boy as a matchmaker, and I guarantee all the fights the fans want, we will get. I would have had John Jones and Tom Aspinall done. I would have had Topuria versus Islam done. I would have had the fights that the fans wanted. Just like this next one. There's low-key a little bit of beef here. There's some backstory. Someone's saying that they knocked out the other one in training. Ian Garry, Leon Edwards. Now you're probably wondering why Ian Garry versus Leon Edwards. Ian Garry could have had a list of different next opponents, but I think it makes sense. You know, people are probably going to say, what about, you know, Buck versus Cuck? Yes, that would have been a great matchup, but I do really like Buckley versus Kamaru Usman. I'm not going to lie, so I'm going to keep that one here. But Ian Garry, the next one that makes sense for him is Leon Edwards. There's backstory there. It makes sense. And it also makes sense because, you know, the next matchups I'm going to have here, it's just the only one that realistically makes sense. Unless I wanted to keep, like, Leon Edwards out of the picture, which at the end of the day, I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't be mad having Ian Garry versus Buckley, but I want Ian Garry versus Leon Edwards just because this adds more fights, because you'll see here soon. I'm also going to have, you know, after we see Kamaru Usman versus Buckley, I want to see Kamaru Usman, Belal Muhammad. There's beef there. There's an extreme amount of beef there. Both these dudes hate each other. Build-up wise will be fun. We'll get some classic Kamaru Usman shit talking. But, you know, I guess it depends how Kamaru Usman looks against Joaquin Buckley, because there's a chance that Unk just don't got it no more. There's a high chance he ain't there no more. And if that's the case, then honestly a lot of these fights just fall apart, because after that I got Joaquin Buckley, Sean Brady. I think this would be a fun matchup. I think Buckley beats a lot of these dudes in this division. And same thing for Sean Brady. I think Buckley's just too strong and just too hard-headed to get held down all 3 rounds, all 5 rounds, however many rounds it is. I think Buckley has the power to finish anyone in this division, and I think he's too hard-headed and strong, especially mentality-wise, just to be held down. So Buckley versus Sean Brady, a great number 1 contender fight. Same thing with a lot of these fights. A lot of these fights are great number 1 contender fights, or not even number 1 contender fights, but great fights just to have on these fighters' resumes. So when they do challenge for the belt, it's actually a high level, high stakes. You know, this challenger deserves a type of fight, because we've been missing a lot of that recently. Like low-key, like Jack. Yeah, Jack got it done, but was he the most deserving? No, it was a last-minute fight. I'm not complaining about that, but I would love to see it when, you know, champions actually fight the number 1 contender that actually deserves to fight for the belt, has built up a resume to fight for the belt. And low-key, that's just what's missing in the UFC, but at the end, championship fight, we all know what it is. Jack Della Maddalena, Islam Makhachev. Of course, this is probably going to be the next fight, unless, you know, the one thing I could see here is Jack Della Maddalena is injured. He has a broken hand, something like that, where he's going to be out for a little bit too long, where they just say, fuck it, Islam Makhachev, Ilia Topuria. Makhachev, if you get this done, you can go up to 170, no problem. I wouldn't be mad about that. But yeah, that's the only reason I could see this fight not being made this year, or at least right away, is because Jack just had a 5-round war, and he could have some injuries here. But yeah, that's every single fight we need to see at welterweight. Let me know, did I miss any? Would you match any of these guys up a little bit different? Now that I'm looking at it, am I mad at myself for putting Ian Garry versus Leon Edwards? A little bit, but my thinking is I can't do Ian Garry versus Joaquin Buckley, because that leaves Leon Edwards and Sean Brady alone, and they already fought each other, so I don't want to match these two up again. And if I go through the division, you know, I don't care to see. Maybe I could have done a Shavkat versus Leon Edwards and a Sean Brady versus a Colby Covington, but it doesn't make sense. I don't care for those matchups. Honestly, I don't care to see Colby Covington fight. And you know, for Shavkat, a lot of like the hype for Shavkat, I don't know if it's just me, but has just died and died very, very fast. So I don't really care to see Shavkat, at least right now. I don't know what it is. I think the hype around him has just completely died. Plus, this dude's going into surgery, so he won't be back for like a year. But yeah, let me know if I forgot anyone. Would you match them up any differently? Thank you guys for watching to the end of the video, and I will see you guys in my next video.